again, let's begin there. Let's tell you a little bit about me. So, my formal background is in learning and development and behavior science and education. I spent years teaching in the classroom. I taught first through fifth grades. I worked at the district level where I was training teachers, working with administrators, and really doing professional developments and writing curriculum. So I've spent over 15 years of my life working with educators, with executives, and organizations to help them understand one thing, and that is that we make decisions from three different systems. The systems are the body, the brain, and our beliefs. And most of the time, we believe we are reacting logically, but we're actually reacting from habits and patterns and perception. And here's the real through line of my work that I've been doing for 15 plus years is that I help people understand how identity, interpretation, and the nervous system shape the choices that we make, whether it's in conversations, whether it's in a time of confliction, whether we're in a leadership position, or even in just those quiet moments that we spend by ourselves. So, because after years of working with people across the different industries and at every level that can possibly be, one truth shows up again and again, and is that we don't react to reality. We react to the story that our brain creates about reality. And when that story shifts, then everything begins to shift within us. Let me just, I want to make sure I can see you. There we are. All right. So this is where our entire class really begins. So when you're in a moment, a conversation, a disagreement, a text that feels off, a tone that might hit you wrong, your brain is not asking what's happening. It's really asking, what does this mean about me? Or what does this mean about them? Am I safe? Am I respected? Am I being judged? And your lens that you have might say things to you like, they're annoyed with me, or they're totally judging me, or I'm just being dismissed right now. They're not even listening. I'm not enough. They're overreacting, or this person is attacking me. And just like that, you react in the moment because the nervous system reacts much faster than you can think because the brain is a meaning making machine. Click here. So, but here's the key. So when that lens shifts, your story that you're telling yourself shifts as well. So when the story shifts, your emotional experience shifts. And let's feel that just for a moment. I do want to add in here too, I'm going to ask you to hold all your questions to the end because if we interrupt the experiential part, we might interrupt the growth that I'm trying to help you achieve today. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and get comfortable in your chair, adjust yourself so you're relaxed, relax those shoulders. And I want you to go ahead and just close your eyes for a moment. And with your eyes closed, I would like you to bring a stressful situation that you have recently had or possibly need to have in the future or going to have in the future. It might be a conversation that you have to have. But again, something recent or something that you're dreading that's coming up. So go ahead and think of that as a really stressful situation. And again, this is really important to have your eyes closed because that brings awareness to your body. And I want you to feel the emotional weight of it. Okay, I want you to let that anxiety rise, that frustration rise inside of you. Maybe it's sadness, maybe it's tension, whatever is there, just allow yourself to feel that for a moment. As you're thinking about this experience and feeling this powerful emotion, I want you to imagine that feeling and envision an image in your head. And I want it to be an abstract image, whether it's colors, shapes, textures, it could be a full blown vision of what this or with this abstract vision to represent that emotion you're feeling right now about that situation. Okay, don't overthink it. It doesn't really need to make sense in your brain, but your brain will automatically pick something for you. And if you're struggling with this, then just create something that you can think of that might represent that anxiety or that sadness or that depression or the stress. All right, very good. Now I want you to open your eyes. Okay, we're done with that. So now I want to take a moment with you to identify our current lens and see how we can instantly shift it simply by removing the filter that we all have in our reality. So, what I would like you to do is I want you to look around the room that you're sitting in. As you look around this room, I want you to find 10 objects in the room, identify them, notice them, name them, just really pay attention to them. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to find those 10 objects. Okay, you have 10? All right. So now what I would like you to do is I want you to pretend, I mean, truly pretend that the sky just opened up and it dropped those 10 objects right into their space for the very first time. You have never seen them before. You don't have names for them. There's no labels on them. I just want you to look at them with pure curiosity. So I would like you to spend another 10 seconds. I want you to find those 10 objects again and look at them again as if they're brand new and you have never seen them before. Okay. So you may not have gotten back to all 10 objects the second time, and that's okay. But what I'm going to ask you is what shifted for you? Did anything shift as you were looking at those objects the second time through? You can go ahead and put that in the chats because I would like to talk about that shift. All right. So I'll give you some time there. But as you're typing in what shifted for you, so most people notice that there's a new curiosity, or maybe there's a brightness about the object, or there's a neutral feeling now. Maybe you're noticing these 10 objects with beauty or wonder. What is this? Maybe a sense of softness. Maybe you're looking more detailed at it. So typically when we're looking at it the second time through this new lens of I've never seen it before, it takes a little longer because now we have an openness to it. So this is your lens in real time. It's the same objects, the same environment, and nothing has changed externally. Only your interpretation of how you're looking at it has changed. So when that story disappears, the original story you had, your lens begins to clear and we can see things for what they truly are. So we have built stories around our reality based on our experiences, what we've been taught, and this filter is our subconscious running our lives behind the scenes. And based on these stories, we can distort how we react. We create a belief in what we observe. And it's a created identity, really, not just of ourselves, but how we see the world. So let's take this a little deeper. Your lens is not neutral. Okay. It's built again from experience, from history, from culture, upbringing, memories, fear. It's fear based a lot of the times, and it's about meaning making. That lens colors how you interpret people long before you consciously realize it. So let me give you a few examples here. So imagine you're walking down the street, taking a nice walk during the day, and you see a woman. The woman's bent over, loving on her dog, or maybe she's got a child and she's doting on her child and just loving on her. And your brain goes, wow, she is a really caring mom. What a loving person. And that belief shapes how you interact with her. You'll probably go up to her, can I pet your dog? Oh, your baby's so cute. Whatever it is, but you're not afraid to go and talk to her. But at home, maybe that mom ignores the dog for hours, has the dog in a cage, or hands her child an iPad so she can take a nap on the couch and ignores them all day long. But today, she happens to be in a good mood. And that moment of affection is just one snapshot in time. So your belief about that woman was not the truth at all. It was just an interpretation. So let's imagine the opposite. You see somebody out in public, you're at a restaurant, and this woman is yelling at her husband. Okay. And your brain might say, wow, she is really being dramatic. She is so aggressive and she's very manipulative. But in fact, she is the most selfless, giving woman and does nothing but dote on her child, her dog, her husband at home. But she just found out that he was cheating on her. So, what if she's been holding everything together for months and this one moment in time, it all snaps for her? So, the behavior that she's displaying doesn't tell the whole story, but your lens did. So here's where it gets interesting. Say you've been friends with somebody for 10 plus years. You know them inside and out. You've been best friends forever. You do so many things together. And one day they call you up and they are yelling at you. They're rude and they're just being mean, just out of character for them. And you think to yourself, oh, she's just having a bad day. But if a stranger did the same thing, you'd be like, what's her problem? So, same behavior, two different lenses that we're putting on. And these are two completely different stories that we're telling ourselves. So, your belief about a person is way more powerful than their behaviors. You rationalize their behavior. If the person is a liar or a cheater and a manipulative person, and one day they're so nice to you, you think to yourself, what do they want from me? And we react based on that story. So the identity you're holding for the person affects your relationship with that person. And it affects how you react or how you respond. So have you ever met somebody, maybe you were at work and a new person starts work that day and you form an identity for them. You don't even know them, but you already think you have an idea of who they are, what they're about, what kind of person they are. And then you really get to know them and you are completely wrong. This has happened to me so many times. But this identity that we're creating shapes our whole world. So beliefs that we have become shortcuts, and shortcuts become stories, and stories become your emotional truth. So we'd like to work through that today. So I always love to bring in brain science because a lot of times this content that comes across as woo woo, but it is neuroscience at its best. So let's connect this to the brain because none of this is a character flaw. Your brain is a predictive machine. It doesn't wait for all the information to come in. It fills in the gaps instantly based on your history and your experiences. So, in fact, neuroscientists say that your brain interprets meaning long before your conscious mind even sees the situation. So this is called predictive processing. Your brain is always guessing. Okay, so it's based on past experience. What does this situation mean? And the moment your brain predicts something, your nervous system kicks in and reacts as if it were true. So then we add in the reticular activating system, the RAS. This is the brain's internal Google search bar. This is your little filing cabinet you have up in your brain that holds all the files of your memories and your thoughts and experiences from the past. And whatever you believe, the reticular activating system searches for evidence. It goes through all those files and it starts pulling evidence to support what your beliefs are. So if your lens says, oh, this person doesn't like me, the RAS says, perfect. Let me go through the files and I'll quickly pull up all the reasons that that is true. So if your lens says this situation is dangerous, your RAS highlights every detail that confirms it. It's almost like shining a spotlight on everything. So if you've ever reacted to something or behaved a certain way and then thought later, oh my gosh, why did I do that? I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to react that way. It's not a weakness, it's just how your brain is wired. And once you understand the wiring, you can shift that lens that you're seeing the world through. So now that we've uncovered the lens and how quickly the brain assigns meaning, here is what we're going to do today in this class. So we're going to explore how perception shapes emotion, meaning you're not just going to be reacting to the moment, you're reacting to the meaning that your brain is assigning. We're going to talk about how the brain amplifies your lens, so even a neutral moment can feel like a threat or judgment. We're going to talk about how to interpret your reactive patterns, especially the ones that feel so automatic or familiar, and how to shift perspective in real time, even when the situation feels so stressful or fast moving. And finally, we're going to talk about how to choose responses with clarity, not from fear, not from habit, but from grounded and intentional place. So think of this as giving your brain a new operating system. So you've already felt a couple small shifts inside your body, and that is not accidental. Your nervous system is incredibly responsive. So today, it's about learning how to use that responsiveness intentionally. And I want to be clear that nothing I'm teaching requires you to be perfect or calm or wise beyond all belief or enlightened every day. It just requires some awareness, and awareness creates space, and space creates choice, and choice creates a new pattern. And that's really what we're going to be doing is rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways. So before we go deeper, I want to anchor you in something simple but powerful. And this is intention. So every time I teach a class, I always do intention setting. So I'm going to ask you to take a moment and just jot down a word or two, a phrase, whatever it is, in your notes, or you can just simply keep it in your mind. But answer this question because your nervous system listens to what you're focused on. So we're going to anchor this intention as we keep going. So think about when it comes to react or response, what are you looking to experience today? Again, this is simply for you. Just jot it down in your notes or keep it clear in your head of what you're looking to experience today. Maybe it's clarity, maybe it's calm, maybe it's how do I be grounded, maybe it's how do I become present in the moment, maybe it's just a reset or a new way to see yourself or how to see others. Okay, so what matters right now is that you name it because the moment you name what you want to feel, your brain starts orienting itself towards it. So, what are you hoping to receive from our time together? Again, go ahead and jot it down or keep it in your mind. Maybe it's just a reset for your day. Maybe it's a reminder of something you already know, but that you can shift how you react to situations and people in a more guided and grounded way. But whatever is coming up for you, I want you to hold on to that. And again, your nervous system automatically listens to your intentions and it's going to orient itself around what you focus on. So if your focus today is peace or presence or just simple ease, let that be the story your brain starts to tell from this point forward. And again, this is not woo-woo stuff. This is how the prefrontal cortex and the reticular activating system works. So whatever you focus on becomes the filter your brain uses to scan the room, interpret people, and choose behavior. So just now, we've shifted from being on autopilot to awareness. And that's tiny shift. It's visible in your brain. Your heart rate is probably slowing down. You're probably a little more relaxed. Your breath is deepening and your executive function is turning back on. So what I like to do is a little reset of our nervous system. And this is done through breath work. And it is very simple. It's very quick and you can use this in any stressful moment and your nervous system reacts and you can calm yourself down a little more quickly. So I'm going to ask you, we're going to take some breaths. We're going to take a breath in. We're going to breathe in for 4. We're going to hold it for 4 and we're going to release that for 8. So go ahead and breathe in for 4 and hold it for 4 and exhale for 8. And we're going to do that one more time. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4 and exhale for 8. All right, I can feel my shoulders already go down, so we are good to move on. So let's pause and we're going to zoom our lens in on something very subtle but very powerful. Okay, your brain reacts faster than you can think. I mentioned this earlier. Again, it fills in those gaps with assumptions and fears and past experiences. And here's the distinction that changes everything. Okay, I have up there story versus fact. So facts are very neutral. Okay, they're just facts. That is what it is. Stories are interpretations, and these interpretations are often inherited from family, from friends. They're outdated and they're fear-based. So I'm going to give you one scenario, and I want you to quickly jot down two things. Okay, I'm going to ask you to jot down what actually happened, what the fact is, and the second one is what you make it mean. So if this were happening to you. So you were at work, you sent your boss an email, and it was based on, it could have been a question, it could have been a project that's due, and you're asking him or her to review it. And you send it, and you're on a timeline. Okay. And you send it, and your boss doesn't respond yet. I mean, it's been, say, 4 hours of your day. Your boss still hasn't responded. What is your brain telling you if this were happening to you? So just jot down the fact and jot down what you made that mean. Okay, so for example, so if your boss doesn't respond yet, that is the fact. The boss hasn't responded. But your brain might instantly begin telling a story, making meaning out of this. Oh, maybe they're upset with me. Maybe they didn't like my presentation, or maybe I messed up. Maybe I said the wrong thing, or oh, I shouldn't have asked that question, or I shouldn't have said that. I'm in trouble. And none of those things are data. This is your brain, again, creating meaning, and it's often based on old wiring, past hurts, or fear pathways. So, same thing if you're in a conversation, somebody uses a short tone with you. Okay, you're talking and they're real short with you, almost like they have a little bit of an attitude, maybe. It's just short and simple. And the fact is, they're using a short term tone. Sorry. The story that you might be telling yourself is they're mad at me. Maybe they're just a rude person. They don't have respect for me. Maybe they're in a bad mood. Maybe they just don't like me. Okay. Or you could be in a conversation with somebody and they're not even looking at you. You're looking away. They're looking at the scenery around you. They're looking at other people. And in your head, you're telling yourself they're bored or they don't know how to have a conversation. And you begin creating these stories. And this is your emotional reaction. And your emotional reaction is never fact. So it's always to the story, and the story is optional. This is not something we have to carry with us. And this is where the shift begins. So now that you can see how easily the brain turns neutral facts into stories, let's experience how fast that distortion happens, even in the simplest of perceptions. So I'm going to have you jump into another experience with me, and this one will show you exactly how fast your lens can shift without you noticing. So same thing, a little bit different. I'm going to ask you to look around the room you're in again right now, and your only job, is to find everything in the room that is the color brown. Could be objects, things, could be clothing, furniture, anything that's brown. Okay, ready? Go ahead and find all the things that are brown in your room. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do that. Look for brown things in your room. All right, great. Now, without looking back around the room, tell me everything that you saw that was red. Most people go, oh, come on, hang on. You didn't said that. You said I didn't look for red. You said look for brown. Okay, well, maybe this thing could be red if I squint real hard. And most people immediately notice that I don't remember anything red. Or you might be looking around again looking for red things. Or you might mentally again justify this is kind of red. It could count, but this is where your lens is at work. Okay. So now I want you to go ahead and I want you to look around the room again. And this time I want you to really look for the red things. So go ahead and find red things in your room. Okay, so now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture everything red that you just found. Much easier. Can you visualize those red things? Notice how fast your brain can now recall it as if it was always obvious, right? So let's go back to that brown color for a moment. How many of you, so I want you to look around again, find those brown things. Let's take a moment and just refine those brown things. Now, thinking about those brown things, how many of you are looking at things that are colored beige or tan, and you've lumped that in with the color brown? So this is the lens at work. So we don't just see what's there. We see what we've been told to look for. So when something almost fits the story, we pull it in. So beige is basically brown, or this kind of red, if we squint real hard, it is brown, but these are two different realities. Okay, brown is brown, beige is beige, tan is tan, red is red, pink is pink. Okay, but we tend to shift our story or our lens based on what we're trying to what box we're trying to put it into. So this is exactly what happens in our relationships. Your brain seeks evidence for the story that you believe is true. So if you believe this is brown, even though it's beige, okay, you fit that into your story. So if your story is this person always dismisses me, your brain is going to find beige moments and call them brown. Okay. So if your story is this situation is unsafe, your brain will color neutral moments red. And this is why that lens matters, because what you look for, you will absolutely find. Whether it's true or not, you're going to make it fit into that box. So what's really just happened is when I told you to search for brown, your brain filtered out everything else. Okay, you didn't see all the red things. Okay, your reticular activating system honed in, and you eventually, or you even mentally stretched the definition of brown. Beige is sort of brown, but why? Because humans don't really see reality. Okay, we see what we are primed to look for. Your lens that you have is what counts as evidence. Okay, your lens is people don't listen to me. You'll notice every little micro cue that confirms that. He's mad at me. You'll interpret every neutral behavior as tension. I do it all the time with my husband. Okay, he could be quiet because he's tired, and I'm like, oh, he's mad at me. Oh, he looked at me funny, and I'll change it based on what story I'm telling myself at the time. Or I'm not respected. You're going to scan things for disrespect. This person is difficult. You will see difficulty in everything that they do. So we filter reality through this belief, and we seek and we find even when it really is not there at all. So let's do one more lens experience together. So we're going to feel the lens through our body. So again, go ahead and close your eyes one more time. Again, this is really important. This is the only way that you can truly get inside and have that awareness in your body. So I want you to bring to mind a different situation that we had in the beginning. This is completely different. I want you to bring to mind a person, someone that frustrates you, and just enough so you can feel that tension. I don't want you to be overwhelmed or anything like that. Just feel that tension. And think about an interaction that you had with this frustrating person. And as you replay this in your head, I want you to notice, and I can already feel it in my body. Notice your posture, notice your breath. Where are your shoulders? Is your jaw clenched? What is your inner dialogue telling you right now? In reality, most people feel their chest tighten when they think of a situation like that. Their breath becomes shortened because now you've cut off your airways. Your eyebrows might even narrow or go in a little bit. Your shoulders start to creep up towards your ears. Now close your eyes again. And I want you to take a long, deep breath in, 4 in, hold it for 4, and take a nice long exhale out. I want you to drop your shoulders a little bit and just relax. Now I want you to imagine seeing the same person or the same moment that was frustrating to you as if you've never met them before. The sky opened up, they dropped them in front of you. just like the objects that we saw earlier, brand new, neutral, no history, no assumptions. And notice anything that might shift in your body. Maybe your story you're telling might shift a little bit. So your body begins to reveal the lens long before your mind ever even notices it. So if we start paying attention to how our body is shifting, then it brings that awareness to our stories. So when you're in a real situation, again, shift that body first, sit taller, open your chest up, exhale or inhale and exhale, and then layer on that neutral lens, curiosity, observation, openness. The body becomes the doorway to a new story for us. And then we can approach things in a more clear way without reacting. So this is the lens loop. This is running constantly in our heads all day long. This is the mechanism behind what we just felt. A situation happens, your brain instantly assigns meaning, often based on past experiences, not the present moment. We're not basing it on facts. That meaning or story sparks an emotion instantly. And then your nervous system kicks in and it reacts inside 90 seconds. 90 seconds. You have tension, you have heat, you have shallow breath, you have shoulders going up. Your body shifts and responds. Your posture, your tone, your facial expressions all follow. So your behavior follows what your body is doing. So we think we're responding to reality. We are not reacting to events, but what we're actually responding to is our interpretation of reality. So we're reacting to the story that we have about the event. So again, here's a little bit science behind this loop. The amygdala, which is a little part in the center of your brain, scans for threat 5 times faster than logic can respond to. So we're looking for threat 5 times faster than logical thinking. The prefrontal cortex, the part that handles that clarity, the empathy, the decision making, the problem solving, goes offline as soon as we're triggered. It can't even think logically anymore. So your 3 internal brains, which I mentioned earlier, the head, the heart, and the gut, each interpret the moment differently, often without talking to each other. And this creates a rapid subconscious narrative that feels true, even when it's not. So quick check-in for you. Think about one story you tell yourself very quickly without any evidence. Could be I'm not enough, or I'm not a good presenter, or I'm not good at this, or nobody likes me, or oh, I'll never find love, or these are stories we tell ourselves. But as soon as we name that story and become aware of it, we disrupt that lens loop. So we interrupt the story, which interrupts our reaction. So when we start becoming aware of these things, we can interrupt it. So when your lens picks up a threat, it interprets a moment as threatening or even emotionally threatening. Could be criticism, confusion, unpredictability. And biology steps in and the nervous system shifts into protection mode. We have fight, which is we push forward, we argue, we defend ourselves. Or we have flight, which is we pull away, we withdraw, we avoid the situation, we shut down communication, we just stop talking. Or we freeze and we shut down, we go blank, we can't think of anything, we lose our words, we stumble over things, and we feel stuck. In that moment, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that manages empathy, logic, and clarity, again, goes offline like that. It can't do its job when the amygdala is sounding an alarm. And this is super important because a hijacked lens isn't a personal failure. It's just how our brains protect us. But once you understand how that system works, you can intercept that moment before the hijack takes over. So fight or flight really isn't the problem. That's meant to protect us and keep us alive. And it's not your fault. This is our biology. And it's a good process. It's a little outdated, but we need to be able to work with it a little better. And it's the lens that activates. So shift the lens, you calm the system, and then you can regain clarity, and your prefrontal cortex will go back online. So we're going to do a quick rewrite here in real time. Think of a moment when you recently felt triggered. Maybe somebody said something to you. Maybe somebody sent you a text and you're like, oh gosh, why don't they understand? Or maybe somebody just was speaking to you in a tone that was confusing or made you tense. Again, what story are you telling yourself? This part is huge. When you can name that story, it takes your brain off autopilot. And now you can react or respond accordingly. And the way to do this is in any situation. This is a quick reset. So if something is stressful, take a moment and ask yourself, what else might be true? And challenge yourself. The ideal number here is 11. 11 things, 11 other things that could be true. Maybe that person was distracted. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. And maybe they weren't even thinking about you at all. Or if you're worried or have a belief about yourself that you aren't good at something, find evidence for how to make that 100% not true. Okay. I'm really struggling with money right now. Well, find evidence for when you did have money. Oh, I get paid to go to work. Oh, I have money to pay my credit cards. Oh, I do. Look for those situations. And this will widen your lens. This will help you zoom out. Because when that lens widens and you zoom out, your nervous system begins to relax and your reaction turns into a response and then you soften. Okay, you're not trying to excuse behavior. We just are giving your brain a little more options than threat. So this here is your practical, simple, science-backed pathway from reaction to moving to response. It works nicely because it speaks directly to how your brain shifts from threat into clarity. So first thing is notice. Notice your body's reaction. What's happening in my body right now? Your body is that first alarm. Okay, the shoulders are tight, heat in the face, shallow breathing. These are signals that your lens just narrowed. Okay, when you notice this, you interrupt that autopilot and you name the story. That is your moment of truth. Your brain isn't just reacting, it's interpreting. What story am I telling? They're judging me. I'm being dismissed. I'm not respected. Name it. Name the story, and that will bring your prefrontal cortex back online and you can think logically and clearly. It's the psychological equivalent of flipping the lights on in a dark room. And the last step there is now you can navigate toward a chosen response. What response aligns with who I want to be right now? This is where your intention replaces instinct. You choose your next move from clarity instead of protection. And your communication tool that's practical, as I'm going to share you this with you right now. When you're in a stressful situation and you're talking to somebody and you notice what's happening in your body, you name the story, and you want to navigate it, talk to the person and say, here's what I'm interpreting. This is what I'm hearing. Can you tell me if I'm understanding this correctly? And that person can either confirm that, yes, I'm being emotional. And yes, I'm, doing these things. No, I don't respect you. Or they could tell you, no, that's not it at all. This is actually what's happening with me. I'm just having a bad day. Okay. So what's happening internally when you're doing those things is you're shifting from threat to curiosity. You're no longer defensive. You're attacking it with clarity. And you choose a version of you that leads instead of the version that reacts out of fear. So every time you walk through this process of notice, name, navigate, you're rewriting old patterns and you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. Okay, you're interrupting the autopilot, choosing with intention. Because most of the time, again, we're not reacting to the person in front of us, we're reacting to what we think they meant. We're assuming, we're using past experiences, we're scared, we have old patterns. And when that lens shifts, your entire emotional landscape is going to shift. So now we're zooming out. Okay, we zoomed in. Now we're going to zoom out. Every one of us has influence, whether we consider ourselves leaders in the room or not. Your presence, your tone, your posture, your facial expression, your pacing, it has a ripple effect. And all of it becomes data for other people's nervous system to create stories. So your brain has mirror neurons constantly reading other people to determine, am I safe? Are they safe? Are we okay? This is why one reactive person can shift the mood of an entire room or an entire meeting. Why, and then how one grounded person can calm a room, calm people at a meeting without saying a word. Okay, leadership is not a title, it's an emotional regulation. It's when you have a regulated nervous system, you become a leader. When you shift your lens from threat to curiosity, from assumption to neutrality, or from story to just looking at the facts, your presence offers other people now a regulated template to mirror off of, to align with. And this is why your response doesn't just shape you, it shapes your entire space. So I'm sure you can think of a relationship or a moment where your lens influenced the room more than you realize. I know when I'm tense and I have this story running through my head and I'm around friends or family, they can feel it and it shifts how they respond to me. But when I'm calm and relaxed, everything else changes too, because now I've modeled, a way to mirror off of me how to regulate yourself and bring into the present. So now we're going to layer into a tool that you can use anywhere. Okay, before a tough conversation, maybe after a triggering moment, or when your mind starts building a story without evidence. Okay, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again for one more moment. And this is going to be very, very powerful. So close your eyes for a moment. Again, get comfortable in your chair. And I want you to visualize a movie screen coming up in your mind. And on this movie screen, I want you to bring the situation or person from that very first scenario that I asked you to think of at the very beginning of this class. Bring up that situation, and I want you to see it playing out on the screen. This is when that triggered that reaction. I wanted you to feel that anxiety really powerfully. So picture it playing out on the movie screen in front of you. Notice your posture, your breath, your chest, your jaw. Okay, remember that body always reveals the lens before your mind does. Okay, now keep that movie playing. I want you to bring up a second screen next to it. And on the second screen, I want you to visualize the same situation, but shows the moment unfolding exactly the way that you would want it to. It's calm, it's clear, it's happy, everything's good is going on. You're getting exactly what you want. It feels so good. So you have two different movies playing now. So now I want you to look back at that first screen, and I want you to visualize the screen or the images on the screen begin to dissolve. Let it fade out pixel by pixel. Or you can even imagine the screen smashing into tiny little pieces and then disappearing from existence. Just smash that screen to pieces. Whatever feels right for you is perfect. Once that screen is gone from that original scenario, now I want you to visualize yourself walking up to that second screen. And imagine taking a rag out of your pocket and wiping the screen. And notice that there was a fog on the screen. And with each wipe of your cloth, the image becomes clearer and clearer and more vivid, and better possibilities are forming. And it just feels so good. Feels calm and grounded. It's working out exactly like you want it to, or even better. Now that you've cleared the screen, I want you to breathe this image in. Feel it in your body. We're going to breathe it in, we're going to hold it, and then we're going to exhale. When we exhale this time, I want you to visualize all that anxiety and stress and tension that you have in your body. If there's anything left, tie it to an arrow. And when we exhale, I want you to think the word release and visualize that arrow going far, far out in the distance and completely disappearing. And so breathe in that good feeling from that new screen. Hold it in, take any of those bad feelings that might be left, tie it to that arrow, and breathe out. Think the word release and watch that arrow fly out into the distance, out to the horizon, and completely disappear. I'm going to do that one more time. Breathe in for 4. Anything left, tie it to that arrow. And exhale, think the word release. The arrow is completely gone. All right, now what I want you to do is I want you to try to bring back that emotional spike that you felt at the start of the class when we originally brought up that situation. Notice what you can or cannot feel. Is it more difficult to recreate that feeling? It's a little harder to bring that feeling back. That's because your nervous system reorganizes around the lens that you chose. Okay, your power isn't in controlling the moment, it's in the story that guides you through it. Before we move on, now I want you to remember that abstract image I tried to, or asked you to create at the beginning, wrapped around that emotion. I want you to bring that abstract image back. Has it changed at all? Might be a little lighter, might be a little more colorful. Maybe it's completely changed around that situation. Yeah, I did this one time with a stressful situation I was feeling, and my original abstract images, I was walking through this path through the forest, and it was so dark and cluttered, and I couldn't see my way, and it was foggy. And then after I released it all, and I tried to bring that image back, it was not completely bright, but much lighter, and there was flowers. It was a little more colorful. There was some sun shining through. So it's quick and easy. So your align action for this week is very simple. This week, simply, I want you to notice the lenses that you're carrying. You don't need to fix them. You don't need to judge them. I just want you to begin seeing them or noticing them, because this awareness that you begin to have is going to create space. And then again, that space will create choice. We will no longer react. We will respond to who we believe that we are, who we want to be. And if you notice a story forming, remember, pause and ask yourself, is this a fact or is this a story I'm telling myself? Remember, what else might be true? And that key number is 11, but even 3 is going to be good. If you can find 3 other things that might be true about the situation. And what lens do I really want to respond from? I'm no longer reacting. So with one tiny shift in your perception can change an entire interaction. So when your lens shifts, your world does too. You sending the message. Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, on that note, let's see here. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. So you don't need to be perfect, people. You don't need smoother circumstances. You don't need the world to line up perfectly for you. You just need to begin putting on different lenses, because your lens is the only part that you can control. You can control situations that come into your life. Can't control other people. You can control yourself, and you can control that lens. So when your story softens, your nervous system begins to relax and soften. And when that softens, your choices begin to expand. And when those choices expand, all your entire experience begins to shift. So if you forget everything else from today, I want you to remember this. Your power is not in controlling the moments. Your power is in controlling the story that you are bringing to those moments. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Oh, no worry about turning off your camera. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to, let's see here, open it up to some questions for you, or that you might have based on what we talked about today. Maybe something that's standing out for you. Maybe you can tell me a situation that you think you can apply this to. I would love to hear anything, okay? How you can apply
That
it to
is
work. Go ahead.
very, very, very Powerful indeed.
Hmm.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love it from all angles.
Thank
Brothers
you.
and sisters, I hope that this is your understanding, this is your reaction to that story.
Hmm.
What we got from Miss Janice Russell was pleasant, wonderful, a beautiful combination of theories, brainstorming, and true hands-on about the lens loop as to how we can be happy. To to
Yep.
summarize the whole thing, that's exactly how that's wonderful Mia, our subject matter expert, concluded her presentation. Oh man, I would love to have at least 1 hour to ask questions about that. That is
Yep.
the feeling of everybody in attendance today, beginning with
Hmm.
Santam Duganda. What's your question, Santam? Santam, we're not getting any audio from you. Very sorry about that. So let's switch to Ismail Adebola.
So,
There it is.
yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, good morning, the presenter. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Thank you for the presentation.
Of course.
Yeah, this is my question. What what strategies can be employed to manage stress when faced with overwhelming emotions? And
Mm-hmm.
how do these contribute to a more thoughtful response?